Good morning, America. More twists in the election with just 20 days to go. Vice President Harris in Michigan and sitting down with popular radio host Charlamagne the God. Former President Trump in Chicago talking about January 6th, peaceful transfer of power, and Vladimir Putin as early voting in the key state of Georgia sets a record, and two big rulings that could have a major impact on the election.
Show of force as American troops and powerful missile defense systems begin to arrive in Israel, while the Biden administration is threatening to pull future funding for weapons.
After more than 35 years in prison, the family of the Menendez brothers pushing for the DA to review new evidence.
Boy meets world star Danielle Fishel.
Could I just ask you to marry me?
I asked you.
Opening up about her breast cancer diagnosis, sharing the news with her family and her husband.
And I said, no, I did get the results back and I do have cancer. And I truly just saw the blood drain from his face.
How treatment is going, how she's finding strength, and her message for others.
Breakfast battle.
Wake up, Kellogg.
Protests outside the Michigan headquarters of Kellogg demanding the removal of artificial dyes from their cereals in the U.S. They've done it in other countries, why not here? And what parents need to know.
Man's best friend saves his life. The hero dog who found help for her 84-year-old owner, Keith. We're going to hear from Keith and the deputy sheriff who found them.
Panda Watch. Bao Li and Qing Bao, the new stars of the National Zoo, traveling more than 8,000 miles, including their journey on the Panda Federal Express.
And she's dancing again. For the first time since her emergency brain surgery, Derek Hough and his wife Hayley shining in the ballroom on Dancing with the Stars after she was told she might never walk again.
Good morning, America. Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
We do say good morning, America. Hope your week is off to a great start. It is Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
It is Wednesday.
Thank you very much.
Hey,
It's
there you
20
go.
days until the election. That's where we're going to begin. Race for the White House now is heating up. Both candidates on a battleground blitz. Vice President Harris heading to Pennsylvania today, Wisconsin tomorrow, then Michigan on Friday and Saturday, plus a stop in Georgia. Former President Trump also in Michigan later this week, then heading to Pennsylvania.
Our team is tracking it all, including Georgia, where the first day of early voting set a record. Mary Bruce starts us off in Detroit, where Vice President Harris was making her pitch to voters last night. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Michael. Well, Kamala Harris is out here crisscrossing these critical states, hoping to reach that small sliver of voters who can still be persuaded with just days to go. She's doing targeted interviews, even sitting down with Fox News and holding events with Republicans, trying to reach voters where they are. This morning, Kamala Harris appealing to key constituencies, looking to lock down those votes still up for grabs with just 20 days to go.
Detroit is going to help deliver Michigan, by the way. And Michigan is going to help us win.
Hoping to solidify support from black men, the vice president stopping by black-owned businesses in Detroit and sitting down with popular radio host Charlamagne the God, outlining her plan to boost black home ownership, grow generational wealth, and lower prescription drug costs, trying to cut through misinformation about her agenda.
They are trying to scare people away because they know they otherwise have nothing to run on. Ask Donald Trump what his plan is for black America.
Speaking to voters who may be swayed by Trump, Harris urging them not to fall for his tough talk.
It's a sign of weakness that you want to please dictators and seek their flattery and favor. It's a sign of weakness that you would demean America's military and America's service members. It's a sign of weakness that you don't have the courage to stand up for the Constitution of the United States and the principles upon which it stands. This man is weak and he is unfit.
Harris also trying to win over conservative voters not happy with the former president, sitting down today for her first interview with Fox News and appearing in must-win Pennsylvania with over 100 Republican officials, including former members of Congress like Adam Kinzinger, who served on the January 6th committee and has blasted Trump as a threat to democracy. Now, at that event today, Harris will make a big push for bipartisan unity, urging Republicans to put country ahead of party. She will make the case standing at the same site where George Washington famously crossed the Delaware River during the Revolutionary War, arguing that she is the candidate who will defend the principles and ideals that this country was founded on. George.
Okay, Mary, thanks. Former President Trump was in Chicago yesterday at the Economic Club, repeating false claims about the January 6th election, refusing to say whether he's spoken to Vladimir Putin since he left office. Chief Washington correspondent John Carl has the details. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. In his interview before the Economic Club of Chicago, Donald Trump referred to January 6th, the day when his supporters attacked the U.S. Capitol in an effort to stop the certification of Joe Biden's 2020 election victory, as, quote, a day of love and peace. Asked whether he would commit to a peaceful transfer of power after this election, Donald Trump pointed to the last one, insisting it was peaceful, and bizarrely saying January 6th was a day of love and peace, and falsely saying the police invited the rioters into the Capitol building.
It was love and peace, and some people went to the Capitol. And a lot of strange things happened there, a lot of strange things with people being waved into the Capitol by police, with people screaming, go in, that never got into trouble.
The reality, nearly 500 people have been charged with assaulting police officers on January 6th, nearly half of them pleading guilty or being convicted at trial. The former president also defended his plan to impose new tariffs on products imported into the United States.
That is going to push up the cost for all those people who want to buy foreign goods.
No. What's going
that is
to
just
happen?
simple mathematics, President Trump.
It's not. Yeah, it is, but not the way you figure it. I was always very good at mathematics.
In Chicago, Trump also refused to comment on Bob Woodward's recent reporting that he has had multiple conversations with Russian leader Vladimir Putin since he left the White House.
Can you say yes or no whether you have talked to Vladimir Putin since you stopped being president?
Well, I don't comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing. If I'm friendly with people, if I have a relationship with people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Just days ago, Trump had a different answer, telling me he had not spoken to Putin.
One of the things he said was that you've had a number of conversations with Putin. Is that true? I mean, I imagine that could be. No?
That's false.
Oh, really?
That's false.
The Kremlin has also denied the two men have spoken, but they have not denied Woodward's reporting that Trump secretly sent the Russian leader COVID testing machines during the early days of the pandemic, when most Americans could not get COVID tests. Regarding those tariffs, most economists say that it is consumers that bear the costs of tariffs. In fact, earlier this year, a group of 16 Nobel Prize-winning economists wrote a letter saying that the Trump tariffs would, quote, reignite inflation.
And John, the closer we get to the election, the former president's rhetoric taking an even darker turn. He's calling his Democratic opponents the enemy within, promising to prosecute them, even suggesting turning the military on them.
George, Trump has continued to refer to his political opponents as the enemy within, saying they pose more of a threat to the country than criminals illegally crossing the border or Russia or China. In fact, this is something that he has continued to do even yesterday in a town hall meeting in Georgia. He said this, quote, we have China, we have Russia, we have all these countries. If you have a smart president, they can be handled. The more difficult are, the Pelosi's. These people, they're so sick, they're so evil. That's the way he's talking about his political opponents.
He's repeated it, and again, this is absolutely unprecedented in American history, talking about using the military in this way. John Carl, thanks very much. Robin?
Okay, George, now to Georgia, a key battleground state where, as we mentioned, the first day of early voting set a record. Rachel Scott is tracking the latest for us. Good morning to you, Rachel.
Robin, good morning to you. More than 328,000. That is how many people election officials say turned out to vote early in person on the first day of early voting here in Georgia. Those numbers shattering records. At this polling location, they just keep coming. The line starting here about an hour before this location even opened. This is one of the most closely watched states in the country, one of the 7 battlegrounds that will ultimately decide who ends up going to the White House. President Biden won the state of Georgia by fewer than 11,000 votes. He was the first Democrat to win this state in nearly 30 years. Former President Donald Trump tried and failed to pressure Republican officials in this state to try to overturn President Joe Biden's victory. But this time around, in the last minute and the final stretch, Republican officials have been trying to make some changes to the rules in two ways. One, allowing election officials to refuse to certify the results of the election if they have concerns about voter fraud, which is extremely rare, and also a rule that would require this state to count the ballots by hand. Well, overnight, a judge blocking both of those changes, saying that it is not an option, rather an obligation for election workers and officials in this state to certify the results, and calling that last-minute push and the final stretch to try to get this state to count the ballots by hand too much too late, George.
Rachel Scott, thanks. We're going to go overseas now to the Middle East, where the U.S. is setting up an advanced missile defense system in Israel and pressuring Israel to increase humanitarian aid to Gaza. Chief Foreign Correspondent James Longman tracking the latest from Lebanon. Good morning, James.
Good morning, George. Israel has carried out new airstrikes on Beirut for the first time in 5 days this morning. That's on the Dahir suburb behind me. That's after a surge of Hezbollah attacks on IDF positions in southern Lebanon. And all this as the Biden administration puts renewed focus on the worsening humanitarian situation in Gaza.
This morning, as American troops and powerful missile defense systems begin to arrive in Israel, the Biden administration is threatening to pull future weapons funding if Israel does not boost humanitarian aid to Gaza and protect civilians.
The level of humanitarian assistance has not been sustained. In fact, it has fallen by over 50%.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin co-signed a private letter to Israeli officials, giving them a 30-day deadline to improve and maintain an increased supply of aid and end the isolation of northern Gaza. Threatening failure to do so would put Israel in violation of U.S. law and could impact future military assistance.
We continue to see Israel not taking sufficient steps to address civilian harm, and you have to look no further than the really horrific results over the weekend.
Those horrific results, this deadly strike on Al-Aqsa Hospital, where medics say thousands were sheltering. Terror as massive fires swept through this tent camp. The IDF says their target was Hamas militants hiding among civilians, but they've provided no evidence of this. And in northern Gaza, aid agencies say civilians are being deliberately starved out, cut off from food for 2 weeks, as increasing military offensives and evacuation orders leave the hundreds of thousands living there with few options.
And the State Department has added they don't want Israel to wait 30 days to improve the situation in Gaza. They want them to start immediately. Michael?
All right, James, thank you so much for that. We're going to turn now to the FAA, looking into the risk of close call at some of the nation's busiest airports. Trevor Ault is here tracking it this morning. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Michael. You know, we've seen a worrying trend the past few years with several dangerous close calls on runways. And the FAA is now auditing 45 of the busiest airports in the country.
This morning, the FAA is opening an audit into runway incursions at some of the nation's busiest airports. The decision comes after a series of near-miss incidents, including this latest one at Nashville Airport last month when an Alaska Airlines plane had to abruptly abort takeoff after a Southwest jet crossed in front.
Alaska 369, cancel takeoff clearance.
The pilot of that Alaska jet slamming the brakes at about 120 miles per hour to avoid a collision.
This felt like getting hit in a car accident or a freight train.
And just days earlier, a Delta plane with more than 200 passengers crashed into the back of a smaller regional jet, knocking its tail off on the taxiway of Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta.
We just hit something on the taxiway. Could you tell us what it was?
In this terrifying sight back in July, police dash camera showing 2 regional jets near Syracuse appearing to come dangerously close to colliding midair.
And the FAA did cite a shortage of air traffic controllers as a factor here. We're expecting they're going to have new recommendations on how to shore up safety sometime early next year.
Look forward to that. All right, Trevor. Thanks as always. Now to the disturbing threats received by the wife of WNBA star Breanna Stewart, who is playing in the finals for the New York Liberty. Rihanna Alley is here with that story for us. Good morning, Rihanna.
Good morning, Robin. WNBA fans like us are no stranger to Breanna Stewart. She is a mom to 2 young kids, and she is a huge star on the basketball court. But now Stewart says she is taking precautions after her wife received a threatening email following Game 1 of the finals.
Ionescu finds Stewart, connecting on a 3.
This morning, as the WNBA Finals move to Milwaukee for Game 3, New York Liberty legend Breanna Stewart finds herself in a battle off the court, saying she and her wife received a threatening email after Game 1.
It's unacceptable to bring to our sport and really into this entire, into the world.
Stewart notified her team of the anonymous email containing homophobic threats. She says it was sent directly to the inbox of her wife, former WNBA player Marta Jargai. They also reported it to the league and the police. The two-time MVP addressing the hateful message on ESPN's NBA Today.
Sometimes people are taking things a little bit too far and too out of context. We're doing as much as possible to continue to make sure that our team and the league is aware of the situation and continue to keep everybody safe.
The league condemning the incident, saying in a statement that we're aware of the most recent matter and are working with the league and team security as well as law enforcement on appropriate security measures.
Stewart will fire away and knock it down.
Along with the WNBA's rise in popularity has been an uptick in online attacks against its players.
We love that people are engaged in our sport, but not to the point where there's threats or harassment or homophobic comments being made.
And the threat has sent shockwaves through the league. Stewie, as she's known to basketball fans, says it's surprising to players because the WNBA is so incredibly inclusive. On a much lighter note, Stewie and the Liberty will play tonight in the pivotal Game 3 of the WNBA Finals against the Minnesota Lynx. Guys.
Yeah, she's an example of how to handle that. All right, thank you so much, Rhiannon. We appreciate that. Now to the MLB playoffs. The Yankees taking a commanding 2-0 lead over the Guardians in the ALCS overnight. Well, Will Reeve is here with a big smile on his face with the highlights. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Michael. And it was a brisk night in the Bronx. October baseball is practically an annual autumnal rite of passage for the Yankees and their fans. Fun fact here, guys. Major League Baseball uses 2 extra umpires for each playoff game, 1 on each foul line. That was left field ump Vic Carpazza, fleet of foot here in the second inning last night. He's olays out of the way as Alex Verdugo hits an RBI double. Yankees go up 2-0 early, but the Guardians kept things interesting and tight in the middle innings. Speaking of tight, superstar Aaron Judge has been off for most of the playoffs, not really producing at his expected all-world rate. No home runs yet. Well, never mind. There's a home run from Judge going deep in the 7th inning. That 2-run shot, his first of the playoffs. So, to quote legendary Yankees radio announcer John Sterling, the Yankees win 6-3. Now just 2 wins away from their first World Series appearance in 15 years. And George, I was out of the country on other business for a couple days, but I've been keeping tabs on the potential of a Subway Series World Series. Mets, Dodgers, 1-1, Game 3 tonight. It's all coming together.
It's coming together. Now I'm waiting for the NBA to come back because I want to hear your Marv Albert.
Okay. Yes.
See, I got it.
Now you don't have to wait.
Okay, we got to go to commercial break. Coming up, the hero dog who saved her owner by leading a deputy right to him.
And the family of the Menendez brothers pushing for the DA to review the case. Dan Abrams here to break down the latest.
Coming up, we are on Panda Watch this morning at the National Zoo. Janae is there for us, and we'll be right back. Back here on GMA, Cher performing overnight at the Victoria's Secret Fashion Show. And now she is going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Lara's going to have much more on that coming up in Pop News.
Long time coming for that. Oh, yeah. Following a lot of headlines right now. 20 days until the final votes. Candidates on a battleground blitz. Vice President Harris heading to Pennsylvania today, Wisconsin tomorrow, then Michigan on Friday and Saturday, plus a stop in Georgia. Former President Trump also in Michigan later this week, then heading to Pennsylvania. Also right now, we have some breaking news this morning. The Secret Service has released a guide for state and local law enforcement to prevent targeted violence. This comes after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Pennsylvania.
Also, Walgreens is set to close 1,200 underperforming stores over the next 3 years. The pharmacy giant saying 25% of its locations are losing money. Walgreens operates about 8,700 stores across the country. And NFL owners allowing Tom Brady to join their exclusive club, approving his deal to buy a minority stake in the Las Vegas Raiders. Brady saying in a statement, it's a, quote, blessing. He'll be involved with the league for the rest of his life. Congratulations. Good for him. And we've got a lot more ahead, including what this pup did to save her 84-year-old owner. Great story, and that is coming up.
We can't wait to share that. But now the Menendez brothers, who are serving life sentences, as you know, in the 1989 killing of their parents. Family members are pushing for the DA to recommend their freedom. Our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, is standing by. But first, Juju Chang is back and has more exclusive reporting on the case. Juju, you spoke with the DA?
I sure did, Robin, and this case is still in the headlines today. Nearly 24 Menendez brothers' relatives say they're uniting to try and harness all this recent public obsession with this case from 35 years ago, pushing for the court of public opinion to help influence the real court's opinion.
This morning, family of the Menendez brothers taking a dramatic step towards trying to free Eric and Lyle, who shot and killed their parents in their Beverly Hills home, a case that captivated the nation.
You could see when they were younger that there was these two lively, fun children, young boys, who just became sadder and sadder through the years.
35 years later, the family members rallying behind them plan to formally push LA District Attorney George Gascon to recommend resentencing for the brothers, who are currently serving life sentences.
It was all about the sex abuse.
All about the abuse, which was the cornerstone of their defense.
The DA says he's reevaluating the case, citing new evidence, including a letter written to a cousin detailing allegations of sexual abuse at the hands of their father, Jose, and a recent assault allegation by former Menudo band member Roy Rossello.
The Menudo star said that Jose molested him in his home. In that home.
Not surprising to the world. The significance is now, oh, this does support that this man, Jose Menendez, was a sexual predator, not only with his children, but with other people's children.
But some questioning the DA's agenda.
Some people call the timing of the decision political because you're up for re-election, and this raises headlines. What's your response to that?
If you think that Netflix is somewhat conspiring with me to release this documentary that they have been working on for years, let me just put it this way: there would have been a much easier path to being elected and getting reelected than the path that I have taken.
The case catapulted back into the spotlight after Netflix recently released that documentary.
Everyone asks why we killed our parents.
And a controversial drama series.
And we decided we weren't going to take that anymore.
With some celebrities also throwing their support behind the brothers, their family hoping they'll be home for the holidays.
That would be the best birthday present to give to my mother, would be to have her nephews home with her on her birthday at Thanksgiving.
Now, after facing life in prison, no parole, there are now two tracks to potential freedom. One involves that newly resurfaced evidence, and the other depends on the DA asking for resentencing based on a bunch of factors like rehabilitation. And Gascon told me he'll make that decision this October. Now, Impact by Nightline's Menendez Brothers, Monsters or Victims begins streaming tomorrow, guys, on Hulu.
A lot will be checking that out. We're going to bring in thank you, Juju. We're going to bring in our ABC News chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. So how would the process of resentencing them to be released, how would that work?
Well, first you need that recommendation from the DA, and the DA clearly making it sound like he's going to do that relatively soon, make his decision. But you still need a court to sign off on it. Remember, a DA doesn't do the sentencing, a court does the sentencing. So you'd still need a court to say, yes, I agree with that recommendation from the DA. That's just a recommendation from the DA. It's a step, an important step. If the DA recommends it, probably more likely than not that a court would accept it, but not necessarily.
And you said they recommend it. Okay, if they do recommend it, how soon could that happen? And some people are saying we want them released by Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So look, in theory, it could happen very quickly. If he makes this recommendation in October, I would still expect that they would wait at least until the hearing that's scheduled on November 29th. So I think Thanksgiving is very unlikely. But there is this hearing currently on the books for November 29th. If you have the DA make this recommendation in the next couple of weeks, and the court then takes it up at the end of November, it is possible that a court at that point could say they've served their time Now they're going to be released.
What's the criteria for the court?
Well, look, it's going to be up to the discretion of the court, right? The court is going to have to determine whether this new evidence, it shows that, in effect, at the time of trial, maybe the outcome would have been different. You can talk about rehabilitation. You can talk about the fact that they've been good prisoners, et cetera. I don't think that's going to make or break this. It might have
been manslaughter, not murder.
Exactly. That at the time that there might have been a different verdict. And as a result, that mercy should be shown. Because again, if they had been convicted of manslaughter at the time, they would have been released decades ago. So we're not talking about, oh, they would have been released by now. They would have been released, in the 1990s.
Wow.
Boy, it's amazing how much attention this is getting 30 years later. All right, Dan Abrams, thank you so much. We're going to turn now to the hero dog who saved its owner after a fall, flagging down a deputy for help. George, you say animals can't talk. Apparently, yes, they can. And Lara is here now with the incredible story. Good morning, Lara.
We will debate that later. We want to talk first about this. It may be cliche, but in this case, it is true. This dog was man's best friend, racing to find help for her human, who very likely would have died had it not been for this faithful pup.
That's a good puppy. You're a hero, you know that.
This morning, an 84-year-old Washington man thankful to be alive after being rescued by his dog.
Boy, you got a pretty good dog, I'll tell you that.
Keith Johnson was letting his 13-year-old dog Gita outside when he says something just felt off.
I got disoriented and dizzy, and I fell over, and that's when I knocked my hip out of joint and cracked it.
Johnson was completely immobile for several hours with Gita by his side when he asked his dog to go find help. Moments later, Deputy Sheriff Colton Wright driving by, seeing a lone Gita on the side of the road. When he tried to get the dog in his car, he says she refused.
She had pulled away from me. So I got out and was trying to urge her to continue on. And then she just stood up and looked at me and looked at the road or the driveway and looked back at me.
The deputy sheriff quickly picking up Gita's signals and sprinting into action, finding Johnson on the ground.
That's your dog right there, right?
That is.
Yeah, that's a good dog, man. I tell you that.
Yep, she is. She's my best friend.
Keith taken to a hospital, undergoing surgery, and now recovering at a rehabilitation center, all thanks to his Gita.
I get choked up thinking about her. She knew what she was doing. I tell her I love her every time I talk to her.
We love this story. In addition to his ever-loyal Gita, Keith gained a new friend during this ordeal. Deputy Wright saying the two are in contact every single day, and he expects they will remain loyal friends after Keith makes his full recovery.
Great story.
Yes,
incredible story.
I just want to be clear. My dogs can't talk. Just nobody else's.
Just make it sure, George. They communicate in different ways.
So many times, George. They can communicate.
Without words in this case, but the message got across.
Debate another time.
Okay, we digress.
The giant panda is making their return to the nation's capital. Washington, D.C. is celebrating the arrival of the 2 3-year-old giant pandas to the Smithsonian National Zoo. Janae Norman down on the scene with all the details. Good morning, Janae.
Hello, George. I am here on the scene. It is cold, so hopefully those pandas are inside and warm. For 11 months, the panda exhibit here at the Smithsonian National Zoo sat empty, but yesterday morning, 3-year-old pandas, Chao Li and Qingbao and Bao Li landed at Dulles on what's been dubbed the Panda Express after making that 8,000-mile-long journey all the way from Chengdu, China.
This morning, the giant pandas making their triumphant return to the Smithsonian's National Zoo in Washington. Yay! Newcomers, 3-year-old Bao Li and Qingbao, traveling more than 8,000 miles from Chengdu, China, aboard the FedEx Panda Express. The Boeing 777 cargo jet had one stop in Anchorage to refuel before landing at Dulles International Airport Tuesday around 11:30 a.m. The 19-hour journey ending with a police escort to the zoo, where these international ambassadors will have a routine 30-day quarantine to get acclimated to their new home. In preparation for the bear pair's arrival, the zoo adding some upgrades to the panda habitat, including new hangout spots and even more cameras for the relaunch of the giant panda live stream.
For me, this is like welcoming new neighbors.
Bao Li and Qingbao will make their public debut January 24th and stay for 10 years, becoming the only giant pandas visitors can see for free in the United States. It's been nearly a year since our nation's capital last hosted the black and white bears, but the National Zoo's conservation program has been around since the 1970s.
Now I'm almost going to cry now that there's pandas back at the zoo.
For Bao Li, this move marks a family tradition. We actually got to meet him in China back in June.
His mom was actually born at the Smithsonian National Zoo in D.C. back in 2013. You've probably heard of Bao Bao. Well, her son, Bao Li's highly anticipated arrival is sort of like him visiting his mom's hometown. And you can see how excited they are. They put up these new panda signs here to get everyone all, to keep the pandemonium going. Folks are out here cheering as the pandas arrive. Mark your calendars. January 24th is when you can come and take a peek at them, guys.
Mark your calendar because you're going to be back there January 24th to see them today. You know you'll be there. Thank you.
It is time for play of the day, and last night the entire ballroom was brought to tears thanks to Judge Derek Hough and his beautiful wife Hayley. The couple opening up for the first time about Hayley's near-fatal brain bleed. Doctors had told Hayley that she might never be able to walk again, but boy, as you can see here, Hayley proving them wrong with last night's emotional performance. Derek and Hayley dancing to Benson Boone's Beautiful Things. Their moving performance earning a standing ovation. Not a dry eye in the house. It was just lovely.
Beautiful, yeah.
And we will be right back. Is that okay to say? Enjoy.
Good morning, America. It's 8 a.m. 20 days until the final votes. Vice President Harris in Michigan sitting down with popular radio host Charlamagne the God. Former President Trump in Chicago talking about January 6th, peaceful transfer of power in Vladimir Putin, as early voting in the key state of Georgia sets a record. Breakfast battle.
Wake up, Kellogg's.
Protests outside the Michigan headquarters of Kellogg, demanding the removal of artificial dyes from their cereals in the U.S. They've done it in other countries, why not here? And what parents need to know.
Boy Meets World star Danielle Fishel.
Could I just ask you to marry me?
I asked you.
Opening up about her breast cancer diagnosis, sharing the news with her family and her husband.
And I said, no, I did get the results back and I do have cancer, and I truly just saw the blood drain from his face.
How treatment is going, how she's finding strength, and her message for others.
Holiday forecast, a possible record shopping season on the horizon, and how many jobs are up for grabs.
We've got a special panda pop-in with one of the top team members, helping bring the two giant pandas all the way from China to our national zoo.
And class is in session with Brian Jordan Alvarez. The TikTok comedian turned English teacher is saying good morning, America.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA.
We got the beat, the Go-Go's. Yes, good morning, America. If you're about to do your laundry, stop. You're like, okay, you want to stop because Jerry and Zach Posniak are here, the father-son duo, going to give us their pro tips. For getting out stains like that. Also the right temperature and cycle to clean and brighten your clothes, and much more. That's coming up.
Oh, nice little tips right there. Looking forward to that. And just ahead, the holiday shopping forecast, what these new numbers could mean if you're looking for a seasonal job.
First, look at the top stories breaking at 8. We start with the race for the White House. Just 20 days until the final votes. Candidates on a battleground blitz. I want to go back to Mary Bruce in Detroit. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning again, George. Well, Kamala Harris is out here crisscrossing these critical states, trying to reach that small sliver of voters that may be still persuadable in these final days. She's been trying to reach out to key constituencies like black men. Yesterday, sitting down with radio host Charlamagne the God, trying to cut through misinformation about her agenda and make her case to black voters. She's also trying to reach out to Republicans who may not be happy with Donald Trump, doing her first interview later today with Fox News and appearing at an event with over 100 Republican officials, while while Trump yesterday defended his economic plan to impose new tariffs, adamant that it won't raise prices on Americans despite what experts say. And asked whether there would be a peaceful transition of power after this election, Trump referred to January 6th as a, quote, day of love and peace, and falsely said police invited rioters into the Capitol. Of course, that is just simply not true. And when asked about reporting that he has had multiple conversations with Russia's Vladimir Putin since leaving the White House, Trump wouldn't comment, but said that if he did have those conversations, it would be a, quote, smart thing. Robin.
All right, Mary, thank you. Now to the protesters outside the Michigan headquarters of Kellogg, demanding the cereal giant remove artificial dyes from cereals in the U.S. They've done it in other countries. Eva Pilgrim is here with more. Good morning to you, Eva.
Good morning, Robin. There has been this push amongst moms to really pay attention to the ingredients in the foods we feed our kids. This morning, growing concerns around what's in breakfast cereal.
This morning, a food fight over cereal. About 1,000 people protested outside the Michigan headquarters of Kellogg, demanding the company remove artificial dyes from cereals in the U.S.
I'm here for the mom, all the moms who struggle to feed their children healthy food without added chemicals.
Kellogg, the maker of Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks, announced nearly a decade ago that it would remove artificial colors and ingredients. The company did that in other countries. For example, Fruit Loops in Canada are colored with concentrated carrot juice, watermelon juice, and blueberry juice. But in the U.S., Fruit Loops still contain artificial colors, including red dye number 40, yellow dye number 5, yellow dye number 6, and blue dye number 1. Studies have claimed those dyes could cause behavioral problems in some children. California just last month banned the dyes from food served in public schools.
It is not crazy to expect better for Americans.
In response to the protest in Michigan, Kellogg insisted its products are safe, saying its ingredients meet federal standards. The FDA has said most kids have no adverse effects from color additives. But critics argue the FDA developed its standards without assessing possible neurological effects.
And that California law, it bans 6 food dyes. Fruit Loops actually contains 4 of them. And it'll be interesting to see how that law in California affects production nationally and to see if other states follow suit.
Yeah. Because when you see what other countries are able to do it, why not here in the U.S.?
They have much stricter laws in some other countries overseas.
All right, Eva, thank you for bringing that to us. We appreciate it. I'm going to turn now to the new retail sales forecast. We're going to look at the jaw-dropping amount Americans could spend this year. Elizabeth Schulde joins us with more. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Hey, good morning, Michael. We are gearing up for what is expected to be a record holiday shopping season fueled by sales online. The National Retail Federation predicts that consumers will spend up to $989 billion this November and December. That's up from $956 billion last year. And the group says that retailers will need to hire 500,000 seasonal workers, about the same number as last year, to meet demand for all of those holiday gifts. But it's not an entirely rosy picture here. Spending is still going up, but it's not going up nearly as fast as the 3 years coming out of the pandemic. It is very clear that shoppers are price conscious and they are searching for the best discounts. So when you look at where some of the categories are, where prices are dropping the most over the past year, think of TVs, toys and games, and sporting goods. We are also seeing retailers offer discounts earlier this season. One reason why is that there are 5 fewer days between Thanksgiving and Christmas, just because of where those holidays fall on the calendar, which is why it might be worth considering starting that holiday shopping a little bit early, guys.
Okay, Elizabeth, thanks very much. Coming up on our GMA Morning Menu, Danielle Fishel from Boy Meets World tells us about her breast cancer diagnosis, what she wants all women to know about early detection. That is a broadcast exclusive.
Also ahead, how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is celebrating Cher's signature style. Lara will have more on that in Pop News.
Plus, Tori Johnson is back with day 3 of Deals and Steals Fall Festival. Things to keep you cozy, comfortable, and more, and all from small businesses. And Lara has a special guest. Hey, Lara.
Hi, Michael. Yeah, I'm here with Brian Jordan Alvarez. He's the star of English Teacher. He's here to teach us a few things about his new hit show. It's coming up right here on Good Morning America. So happy you're here.
We're back with our GMA cover story. Boy Meets World actress Danielle Fishel opening up about her breast cancer diagnosis, how her treatment's going so far. Melissa Adan spoke to her. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, George. So Danielle Fishel, who is beloved for her role in Boy Meets World, is now part of the 1 in 3 women that are diagnosed with breast cancer each year. I sat down with Danielle and she courageously shared her cancer journey and the tool she credits with saving her life.
This morning, Danielle Fishel, the director, producer, and actress, best known as spunky teen Topanga on the 90s hit Boy Meets World.
No matter how difficult life gets, the important thing is to live it with hope.
Opening up about the diagnosis that changed her world, breast cancer.
My doctor told me, you're going to be okay. I just want you to know I'm so thankful that it's stage 0, but I do want you to know there is no easy cancer. And I didn't really quite understood what she meant, but now having, just been on this journey for a couple of months, I get it now.
The 43-year-old mother of 2 diagnosed with DCIS, ductal carcinoma in situ. Doctors label it stage 0 breast cancer.
Having to break the news to my husband was really hard. Both of his parents passed from cancer. I waited until the kids went to bed and he actually brought it up. He said, "Still no results yet, huh?" And I said, "No, I did get the results back and I do have cancer." And I truly just saw the blood drain from his face.
For the last 3 months, Fishel undergoing 2 surgeries, including a lumpectomy, and weighing her options about treatment.
My recovery is going well. I no longer have cancer. I do still need to make a decision moving forward about radiation.
She first shared her diagnosis on her podcast, Pod Meets World. She hosts with Boy Meets World co-stars Ryder Strong and Will Friedle.
I want to share this because I hope that it will encourage anyone to get in there. If it's time for your appointment, if you've never had an appointment before, get in there.
I'm so grateful that I prioritized my health and said, I'm going to go and have this mammogram, and it changed my life.
But what was it inside of you that said, no, I have to get this done?
As I've gotten older and I've become a mom and a wife, and I started thinking, is being selfless actually the virtue we think it is, or is it really harming us? And I think it's really harming us, this idea of putting everybody else before yourself. And when it comes to my health, when it comes to my mental health, those are just 2 areas I'm not willing to sacrifice for anyone. I'm not willing to be selfless. I'm going to be selfish.
According to the American Cancer Society, about 1 in 5 breast cancers will be DCIS, and nearly all women with it can be cured.
I feel like it's a very Topanga thing to be saying to people, hey, your health matters, your wellness matters. Can you please go have your preventative checkups?
Fishel now using her platform to encourage others to get their mammograms.
If you grew up watching me on TV, it's probably time for you to go have a mammogram. So go get one.
So Topanga-like, and we are so encouraged by her. And Danielle really emphasized that we should not put off getting mammograms, which are recommended starting at age 40 or earlier, depending on family history or other risk factors. Guys.
Thank you, Melissa. Pop news time.
All right, let's do it. Thank you, George. Good morning, everybody. We're going to begin with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Cher. She has decided it will be none other than a fashion icon, Emmy and Golden Globe winner Zendaya, who inducts her into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Cher's stage costumes designed by the legendary Bob Mackie are now on display at the Rock Hall Museum, including this outfit that she wore back in 1971 for the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. That is one of many incredible outfits. She was such a style icon. As for the rest of the class of 2024, we're talking Mary J. Blige, A Tribe Called Quest, Dionne Warwick, the late Jimmy Buffett, just a few of those who will be inducted during the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony, streaming live this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Disney+. And on New Year's Day, you can watch a primetime special featuring standout moments and performance highlights from all of these iconic performers. That's at 8 p.m. on January 1st, right here on ABC. And also this morning, everybody, we've got great news for the elephant population in Kenya. There are now too many elephants at the Mawa Mawea National Reserve outside Nairobi. In fact, the population has risen from 49 elephants back in 1979 to 156 today. That is a massive increase. Since they really can only handle a herd of about 70, the director of the Kenya Wildlife Service has begun carefully relocating 100 of those elephants to a nearby reserve that has more land and food, along with protection for these majestic animals. The elephants are being moved carefully with the help of vets and conservationists. The rise in numbers shows conservation efforts are working, and poaching is in fact being slowed down. I was really excited to share that with you. And since we're talking animals, let's just get into the pandemonium. It's happening here at GMA. Almost a year after the Smithsonian National Zoo's pandas left to go back to China, the pandas are back in DC, and their journey has been months in the making. This time we have 3-year-old Bao Li and Xing Bao, who look no worse for wear after a 19-hour journey, 8,000 miles. This morning we are joined live by the director of the Smithsonian National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute, Brandy Smith. Good morning to you, Brandy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, so happy to have you. So happy to have them back with us here in the U.S. How does it feel having the pandas back in your care?
It's incredible. I mean, these animals mean so much to Washington, D.C., to our zoo, to the world. It really is just an exciting honor and privilege to have them here.
Yeah, it really is. I cannot wait myself to go see them. But tell us what the pandas' day-to-day looks like between now and January, when we're allowed to visit for the first time, or February, I understand.
Yeah, so they are really, they just arrived here last night. They're doing so well. They're eating bamboo. They're exploring their environment. Their new habitats are getting to know all of their keepers. And over the next few weeks, we just want to make sure that they are happy and healthy. They'll go through a 30-day quarantine, just to make sure that there's no problems. And then we're going to slowly begin to acclimate them to people before we just, turn it on and invite everyone at the zoo to see them.
Cannot wait for that. And you were there when another giant panda, Bao Bao, was born at the zoo back in 2013. I remember it. What is it like now having her little boy, Bao Li, in residence?
I mean, Bao Bao, she was such a special panda, and the fact that this is her son, it means so much to us. And he looks like his grandfather, Tian Tian, so the same facial features. So people who know our pandas, will look at him and they'll see the family that they love for so long and his beautiful little face.
I just love them. I wish we were allowed to hug them. I know that's off the table, but a girl can dream. I know. But listen, we're so grateful for the work that you do. Thank you for keeping them safe. We look forward to seeing them in January or February. Best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Love those names.
I do too.
Sounds like about bow wow.
Exactly.
That's what you got out of that. Now to Deals and Steals, and it's our fall festival this week. And Tori Johnson is here with products from small businesses. Tori, let's get started. What we got?
Let's get started. How about a personal steam sauna right here? This is from Durasage. So put your hand right into there. That's where a head would be able to be fully exposed. Sweaty, right? Exactly. So your hands could come through here. Comes with everything that you need, including a little chair to sit in there. And this is an amazing way to start your day with just a feel-good steam sauna. So relaxing. It's on a 60-minute timer, so you could do up to 60 minutes, but if you don't have time for that, you can certainly do it for less. And it's great for your skin, it's great for your mind, great for your overall vitality. Not only do we have these little mini ones, which these today 50% off and $80, but we've got full size, full body, so you could stand. Yep, they go up to $1,200. You'll find them online. But this is I know
size for our guy Gary.
It's not just for Gary. You could use it too. All right, you got. I understand. I understand. All right. These are called Go Dark bags.
Yes.
Right. So this is a Faraday bag. And what that means is if you feel this fabric in here, it is a special metallic fabric that's going to block any kind of signals that are emitted
really?
and received by electronic devices. So have you heard these things where somebody's car fob is used to open up their car?
Yes.
If you put that car fob in here, that information is now protected. That device is now protected. So if somebody cannot steal a signal from your phone, they cannot steal your personal information, your identity is protected, your car is safe, and it's as simple as just putting it into that bag. There's no software to download, no settings. It's literally a key fob, a phone, a tablet.
Tablets, computers.
Yep, can go right into these. They're 50% off today, starting at $25.
Wow, great deal there.
So good. Okay. These are amazing. They're Luminara, and it is a flameless candle. Yeah, exactly. But it's not. So you could stop it just like this, but it looks. You get the ambiance because of their flame effect technology. You get the real flicker, and this is all made of premium wax as well. It's real. I know. I see there's a lot of distractions going on here. There you go. There you go. She could have her sound effects with her ambiance with these. They start at $15.
$15. Great deal there.
Katie did. All right, look at how amazing these bags are. That's a weekender. We've got this hobo tote. These totes are literally the talk of the studio. I know they've got competition from the pandas, but these bags are pretty fabulous because they're super lightweight, so you can use them for anything. So gym, weekend, people are using these as diaper bags. It's just like the all-purpose bag. Plus we have from Katie did their amazing tumblers, 40-ounce tumblers. I am always in the Christmas spirit, so we've got holiday options as well as other fun ones. Everything 50% off today from Katie did.
All right.
Then we're moving over to Aroma Soles. So these are socks that you can smell because with every single step you get a nice, it does smell good. You get a nice little burst of aromatherapy. Plus they're infused with shea butter, so they're so super soft on your feet. We've got singles and sets for men and women. They're good, right?
Yeah, it means you still have to wash your feet before you put them in it. I want people to know that.
Got it. These start at $15.
Okay.
And then Sweet Wing. This is what Gary chose for you.
Gary wants me to wear that?
He chose the pink one for you, but then he thought this would complement your eyes better. And what's awesome about these is you get the little ones to dream big, and it's great screen-free alternative for dress-up play. So we've got this that could be Halloween costume, everyday dress-up, fabulous gift. We've got the single capes as well as the sets that come with headpieces. I chose only a cape for you today.
Thank you.
But these start at $15 from a really fun small business.
I'm a girl dad. I don't mind wearing this, Gary.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, a girl dad and a grandpa. You look fabulous.
You had to throw that in there,
I
didn't
did. Be proud, man. Be proud.
Thank you, Tori. And we partner with these companies on these great deals. You can get them on our website, where you'll also find bonus deals. And we're going to see you tomorrow for more fall festival deals. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to GMA, live from Times Square.
And we are back with Brian Jordan Alvarez. He's the creator, executive producer, star of the new hit show English Teacher. Welcome to GMA.
Yeah.
First appearance?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm so excited to be here. This is my first time on Good Morning America for sure. Yes. I'm thrilled.
Not your first time on video. We want to talk about the show, but first, you're a viral TikTok star.
Some say I am. Yes. The numbers say so, I think.
Numbers do.
Yeah.
What's the specialty?
I do a character named TJ Maxx. It's maybe I'm using a bit of my mom, who's from Colombia, and he has a really funny face, as you see there. A lot of people see me without the TJ Maxx filter, and they kind of miss the filter. They say, I think TJ Maxx is cuter than you, but we're in competition.
Oh my goodness. And boy, you are getting such great reviews for the English Teacher. Where did it come from?
It was just, I knew that putting something in a high school would make it so that people from every different part of life were kind of forced to interact toward a common goal of educating these students. So there's so much disagreement in a public high school environment. You got to educate these kids, and the parents disagree about how to do that, and the kids are disagreeing with the teachers about how to do that. The administration itself has disagreements. So it's ripe for comedy,
Is that why you chose? That's why you chose a high school?
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted wanted to put it in Austin because I'd been spending a lot of time in Austin. I love Austin, but Austin also is sort of this blue city in a red state, and I went to high school in a very liberal town in the broader Tennessee area, which is, you know, more conservative. So that dynamic felt familiar to me.
Well, let's take a look at a clip, and here's your character being confronted by a student after giving them all Fs.
You did this. This is your grade that you got. I gave you guys a month to read this book.
Mr. Marquez, your feelings are valid. We've all learned our lesson here, and now you can give us Bs.
Bs are good grades. You didn't earn good grades. I am the teacher. This is not up for discussion, and that's the end of this.
I'm posting ads on Backpage because with grades like this, I'm gonna have to hit the corner, sir.
This show is so funny, and I was going to say it's accurate, but I don't want to say that after the end of that clip right there. But it is
the character
so funny.
who talked about the feelings is dead on. Accurate.
Yes. How do you write from their perspective, from that generation's perspective?
I think in a way it does come from being on TikTok a lot. You know, I'm very online, so I feel like I know, you know, what's hip and what's happening and how people are talking now. What I love about that clip too is that there's a part in it where I go, I am the teacher. So like the folks at home really know, this is a show called English Teacher. Yeah, I am the teacher. Yeah.
But I find myself having to do that with my kids who are that age, like trying to gain control.
Yeah, exactly.
And you nail it. You really do touch on some serious issues. How do you manage to keep the funny?
I mean, we have a lot of great writers, you know, Zach Dunn, Jake Bender, Dave King. We have this amazing director, Jonathan Kreisel, who does a lot of our episodes. And we focus on this. You know, we want to handle serious issues. We want to be able to tackle anything. But our main executive producer, Paul Sims, he's just like, this is a comedy. You know, in FX too, they were just like, comedy. Whenever it would get heavy, they would go, keep it light. And it was to the show's favor, I think.
It's a good mix.
Who were you of these guys, or what were you like back in high school?
I was such a class clown. I feel so bad for some of my I had an amazing French teacher, Barbara Cardin, and she would just sit us down and be like, how do I get you guys to stop making jokes? The whole class is like, you're doing a stand-up comedy set. I can't teach anything. And I'd be like, I'm going to be a professional comedian, you know? Let me work this out. I'm doing my work.
I'm working on my craft.
I'm learning.
This is a good place for a public apology.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Barbara Cardin. You're an amazing teacher.
Wait. I'm sure she's very proud of you, as are all your teachers. This is just really smart.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in today. All episodes of FX's English Teacher are streaming now on Hulu and Disney Plus.
Binge it now.
Because YOLO.
YOLO. Binge it because YOLO.
Power in Pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There is a huge community of thrivers who lean on each other for support. And Ariel Reshef has the story of one thriver who came up with a great way to help others through their cancer journeys. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, Robin. This is truly brilliant. It's an idea born from personal experience. A young mom going through chemo, realizing there's a better way to streamline the flood of goodwill from friends and family and channel it into things that a patient really needs.
Less than a year after giving birth to her first child, Alyssa Culver was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, the cancer spreading to her liver and spine. Alyssa was just 34 years old.
I remember sitting in the doctor's office when they pulled up my PET scan, and that was when my husband went pale and was breathing into a paper bag. I was sitting there in shock.
When the Los Angeles mom started chemo, she was inundated with the well-intentioned question from family and friends, what can I do to help?
I really didn't have an answer because I didn't know what I needed, and I didn't want to ask for help.
This got Alyssa thinking, what if there was something like a wedding registry to take the guesswork out of the equation for anyone battling cancer? During her 5th round of chemo, WeGotThis.org was born.
It's the first ever nonprofit gift registry for cancer patients. Our mission is to, build a community of giving and receiving that helps people like me live our best lives.
Friends and family can search the website to find a patient's registry and just click to buy the goods or services they requested. And for those going through treatment, there are suggestions for things you may not even know you need.
You can register for sweaters that have zippers on the sides that make it easier for chemotherapy. I had one that was Oscar de la Renta, so I felt kind of, extra wearing that one.
For 35-year-old mom Heather Berry, whose cancer battle started last year, WeGotThis.org was a game changer.
You're able to register for any type of gift card. There are the ability to add pillows, blankets, contribute $20, $100, and it goes straight to you.
Alyssa's metastatic breast cancer is incurable, but her outlook is inspiring. She says she prioritizes living, not just staying alive.
People want to help and people need help, and having a solution to making this possible in the hard times is like the biggest gift and silver lining out of the worst thing to ever happen to me.
It is really beautiful how she's giving back to her community. And WeGotThis.org registries have been up and running since last summer. So far, more than 1,000 registries have been created. Alyssa says they have partnered with dozens of organizations and hospitals to get the word out, guys.
Inspiring.
So smart, right? I mean, you hear what you say, what can I do to help? That's the instinct.
Yep.
But of course, people also don't know what they need sometimes.
Well,
so this can take the guesswork out.
I love it. We got this.
We got this.
Yeah, because when you're going through it, you just are so looking for someone that's got you. And she does.
That's right.
You do always. Thank you, Ariel.
Thanks.
Now to a big surprise for a wonderful program that's working to end hunger for the children of my hometown, Houston, Texas, where an estimated 80,000 preschool-age kids don't know where their next meal is coming from. The nonprofit Kids Meals is hoping to change that, and our GMA-style contributor Lori Bergamato has more on that.
These vans in Houston, Texas are on a mission to deliver healthy food directly to families in the most underserved neighborhoods. Ones with children still too young to receive free lunches at school.
I have two kids, 4-year-old and 1.5. I'm working, but we need a little bit of help.
It's all part of the nonprofit Kids Meals. 20,000 volunteers a year preparing meals for more than 9,000 children every weekday.
Y'all help a lot.
We've got some great nutrition in here.
Their CEO, Beth Harp, and these volunteers inviting me to lend a hand.
Kids Meals is the nation's only home delivery service for preschool-age children, and we are committed to making sure that children before the age of 5 have basic nutrition, because our human brains are going to develop 90% before the age of 5.
How you doing?
But they're not just giving food. They're also providing support.
If I pull up in front of a house and mom can't afford daycare, our hope providers are trained to help them navigate those resources.
Wow. I'm getting choked up, sorry.
This mom and her 9 kids were without a steady home, but Kids Meals helped get them into this house.
We have a huge yard now. My kids are able to play and be free.
The goal is to be a generation changer.
And on this morning, before the vans head out, we had a little surprise.
Our friends at the Great Wolf Lodge also heard about this incredibly impactful work that you are doing, and they would like to give Kids Meals a check for $50,000.
Oh my gosh, my cheeks are hurting from smiling. Thank you so much. That is incredible.
But we weren't done yet.
Let's do this. Hi, I'm Lori. I'm Lori Bergamato from Good Morning America. How you doing? In addition to the kids' meals and the food for your family today, we, on behalf of the Great Wolf Lodge, are giving your family a trip to the Great Wolf Lodge.
Shut up. Are you serious?
We hope you
God, thank you
and
so
your
much.
family have a wonderful
Thank you so
experience.
much.
Everything is taken care of. Transportation, accommodations, food, water slides, an arcade.
That's awesome. My kids are going to be so excited.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, come on, Mom, we're going.
The Kids Meals staff helping us surprise a total of 19 families.
Yay! I will cry right now.
You excited?
Oh, stop. Come here. Thank you guys so much. I needed this. My family needed this.
For Good Morning America, Lori Bergamato, ABC News, Houston.
Oh boy, it's wonderful to see the smiles and the cheers and the happiness and such great work that's being done in Houston. Kids Meals hope that one day that model they've created will spread across the nation and inspire other cities to follow in their footsteps. So thank you, Lori Bergamato, for heading down to Houston to do that for us in my hometown.
So
and,
nice.
Yeah, very, very nice. And coming up, the father and son laundry experts give us the 411 on getting your clothes clean.
We are back now with the authors of The Laundry Book, the definitive guide to caring for your clothes and linens. It's genius. And these are the guys. Father-son duo Jerry and Zach Kosniak are here. They've got the dirt, if you will, on getting your clothes clean. And I mean, you guys really do cover it all. And I want to get right into it because I have so many questions. So do our viewers. We want to get back to basics with Stain Removal 101. There are some common culprits that stain our clothes. You're going to show us the smartest way to get these out. We're going to start with red wine because many of us have done this, and blackberries also. So how do we tackle those?
Okay, so red wine, blackberries, coffee, tea, all acidic stains.
Yes.
So we need to use an acid to remove it. So in this case, this is
Acidic
citric
stain
acid.
uses acid.
Yeah, like removes like in the world of laundry.
Oh my
Removes
gosh.
right away.
So
which
what
is wonderful.
product is that? Vinegar?
So this is an all-purpose stain remover that uses citric acid, but
Okay.
at home you can use vinegar. So it's going to be a little less exciting, but it will work.
I mean, that is, can you guys see that? Like literally came out almost immediately. That's incredible. I want more details on
I'll
that.
get you a bottle.
All right, good. They're fabulous. All right, so some common solutions, Dad, for some other regular stains.
So oil, greases, butters, fats require detergent. So either dish soap, laundry, regular
Is dish soap better than laundry soap for
they're
stain
both,
removal?
Well, you can apply either or. I prefer a little dish soap because it's a little bit better with removing oil stains.
Yeah.
But apply it directly to the stain. If you get a little dot, a little dab right there, it'll take care of it about 15 minutes and then wash it. Otherwise, if someone has pizza grease all over their hands and wipes it, what you can do is mix up a little bit of dish soap and water, and then just spray it on it, let it sit for 15 minutes,
And then throw it in
wash
the wash?
Throw it in the wash.
So what about rubbing?
I like tamping, not rubbing. Rubbing will abrade the fabric, so a kind of an up and down motion is better.
Okay.
Because it won't change the color of the fabric.
Okay,
at
but
all.
when you do like the dish soap do you dilute the dish soap on a stain?
On a little tiny one, you don't dilute it because you're only adding a little bit.
Okay.
But if you're going to apply a lot, you want to dilute it because you don't want to have over sudsing. If you put a lot of dish soap, you're going to have suds everywhere, and it's going to be a nightmare.
In your washing machine.
I've done that, and it is a disaster.
It's like the I Love Lucy episode.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So now let's get into some laundry do's and don'ts. Or should we do this first? Should we
Let's
talk
do this
about?
one.
Yeah, because
Kid
this was my
stains.
personal. Kid stains, chocolate. Grass stains.
Stains, right.
And then I also asked you personally about blood because my
Blood,
mom has this theory and I wanted to know if it was true.
Okay.
So you guys tell me what gets those out.
All right.
Sure. So Halloween around the corner, we're going to talk about some kid stains. So chocolate, grass, we got to use an all-purpose stain remover like Shout here. So for example, we have our grass swatch. This is untreated. And this is one where I treated right in the middle. So we can see how it came
without
right out.
rubbing? That's just putting the Shout on it and letting it sit? This does not do this for me.
Just give it some time.
Okay.
It needs a little bit of
patience
time.
You gotta,
factor.
exactly.
Okay. All right. So, but looking back here, you wouldn't use Shout for like butter or oil?
I prefer that. I prefer the dish soap and the laundry detergent because it attacks oil stains and breaks down the large molecules to smaller molecules and allows it to wash away in the laundry.
Okay. Blood. Is it true that peroxide gets it out?
Absolutely.
Mom, you were right.
No, hydrogen peroxide is one of our favorite stain removers. It does so much, but it's great on blood.
Okay. I don't know why. I'm sure it's scientific, but I'm just going to take your word for it. All right. So what are we doing here?
Okay, so we really want you to start washing with cold water. So for example, these were washed in cold, these were washed in hot, and we could see how much more faded the hot are. And specifically, we have the aglets here where the paint actually came off.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because
So I wash colder in general?
In general, for most loads, you want to be using cold with modern.
Where do we use hot?
For really stinkier stain stuff, but it should be reserved for every once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's also better for the environment, I would imagine.
Is.
Yeah,
it's about a 90%
right.
savings in energy switching from hot to cold.
Okay, great. And it's better for your clothes.
Much better for your clothes.
All right, great. So that's great. And then what about washing machine cycles?
Washing machine cycles, we're not as dirty as we think we are. So it's really good to use the speed or the express cycle. It'll cut down your time in the laundry room.
Better for your clothes.
Better for your clothes,
the
better for the environment. And because most modern detergents are, they attack the stains much quicker than they had in the past.
All right, and then time to put me on the spot. That is a pun intended moment.
Exactly.
Let's do some laundry myth busting. Quiz me on some common stain solutions. Jerry, you are up.
Okay, so seltzer. You're out in a restaurant, you get a stain. Waiter says right away, I'll bring you seltzer. What do you think? Seltzer works or not work?
Yes, I think it works.
Yeah, well.
No?
Nope.
Oh, man.
Nope. Seltzer does not work. It's no better than plain water. You're better off asking for a damp towel with a little bit of dish soap on it, and that'll take care of many more stains
no
than just
rubbing,
plain soap.
just tamping.
No rubbing, just
okay,
tamping.
last myth. Go ahead.
Okay, so baking soda, good or bad, adding it to the laundry, does it do anything or does it not do anything?
I think it does something in the refrigerator. I don't know what, but I don't think it does anything in the laundry.
Well, it is true.
I needed you.
It's true. It does the same thing in the laundry as in the refrigerator. It will get rid of odors, but it also will help with getting out soil stains and grass stains and kid stains. So it's great to add to the.
Add a little bit.
Add about a quarter cup right to the wheel of the washing machine.
Where have you been all my life? You guys are fantastic.
We're here now.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. So much to learn. You guys check out the book. These guys are great. It's called The Laundry Book, The Definitive Guide to Caring for Your Clothes and Linens. Great Christmas gift for your college kids. It's out now. Scan the QR code on your screen and you can shop it on goodmorningamerica.com.
And we do hope you'll join us tomorrow for Florida Strong.
And have a great rest of your day.
See y'all there.